What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Daniel here from the Geek Speak Nation channel, and I am so excited to talk about Daredevil Season 3. So, Daredevil Season 3. Holy crap, this show was awesome. I'm just gonna get that out the way. There's no building up to it. Daredevil Season 3 is freaking awesome. This is the show that started it all for the Netflix streaming series. And when Season 1 came out, I thought it was a slow burn. A very slow burn at times, but eventually built up to a really great payoff and a really great setup for awesome cast of characters. And then Season 2 came around, and we had different shows in between. But when Season 2 came out, I thought it started off really strong with the arc with the Punisher, and then you got into the stuff with Elektra, which really started losing steam towards the end, and the character arc that they tried to take Matt on. I think he grew as a person, but however, I think that a lot of the side characters suffered, and I think a lot of things got a little bit out of control with the pacing and where they really wanted to take the story and trying to drag things out for 13 episodes. But nevertheless, moving into, Defenders, we reached the climax of the story, and it appears that Elektra and Daredevil have died in the climactic last fight as the building crumbles. But surprise, post-credit scene at the end, here we are with Daredevil. He is alive and is inside of a cathedral, a church, a Catholic church, and he has survived, which is totally awesome. What a surprise. And nevertheless, what we end up getting is this follow-up season where Matthew's faith is completely broken. He is, given up this life of Daredevil, or the original idea that he made Daredevil out to be. And this idea that he was this agent of change in Hell's Kitchen for God, because that's what he deemed his purpose in life to be, and that's what he thought he was fulfilling. But he is broken because he feels like he's lost everything, and the way that he tried to fulfill it was worthless, and that his faith has been worthless, and that his focus has been worthless, and all this other stuff. And I think the number one thing that truly drives this season is the emotional thematic core that runs through all these characters about trying to find purpose. Wilson Fisk is going through it with trying to reclaim his purpose with his love of Vanessa. You got Bullseye, whose whole entire thing is but trying to find anything remotely close to a purpose that makes his life feel like it's in order. And then you got Foggy and you got Karen, who have found a new purpose but don't know if it is good enough to be able to fulfill other ones. And that conflict is just so interesting throughout the entire season. But just starting off with the arc that Daredevil goes through is absolutely phenomenal. I know this takes so much inspiration from the Born Again storyline and things of that nature, but I really think that they gave their all this season on all aspects. And I think story-wise, this is their most superior season to anything they've produced. And that not only includes Daredevil, but also all of their Netflix series thus far. I just think this season is just absolutely brilliant in the way that they construct a story that deconstructs Daredevil and him trying to find a new purpose, and all the other characters trying to find a new purpose, and building them up towards this climactic, insane ending where all of these different forces are colliding and all these different motivations are colliding, only for the sense of trying to validate their own existence, which is, it's just powerful, it's brilliant, it's touching, it's moving. And when you're in those final moments of the climax of episode 13, it just hits you right there in the soul, and it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. Charlie Cox and the rest of the cast, for the most part, do a phenomenal job in their roles. Charlie, I still think he's blind in real life. It's so weird to see him do interviews, because most of the time he's like, Karen, he's looking out there like a blind person, and you see him in an interview and he's like, yes. Oh no, it was really good time getting to play Daredevil. I'm like, whoa. You can't see. That's weird. You're making eye contact. But he does such a phenomenal job, not only in carrying the physicality and the amazing action sequences, but and also his character acting and the way he portrays Matthew and stuff like that. But the way he handles the truly heavy emotional moments is absolutely phenomenal. And I just loved every moment that he was on screen and every moment he was dealing with these dilemmas. It was so powerful, and you really do see him down on his luck in the most darkest way possible. And even when he's making all the wrong decisions about who to trust and what path in his life to take, and as we as a viewer are like, you need to trust your friends and you need to be a hero, all that jazz. But the way that he portrays it is so convincing. Charlie Cox's performance, that his character is so broken and so lost and just wants some sort of validation that all of his sacrifice has been worth it, even though life feels like it's constantly spitting in his face telling him no. It's just great. It's just great acting. And I think following up with that, the person who's the antithesis of all this stuff, that is the anti-life equation, sorry to bring DC into this, to everything that Matthew stands for and that he's struggling with, is Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, who is in his prime this season. I mean, Vincent D'Onofrio's performance is so unique in the way that he carries the Kingpin as someone who is this awkward yet menacing person, and you don't know if you could truly trust him, but you know that there's this connection that you have with him empathetically and sympathetically in certain cases, but deep down he's just a monster looking for love. And it's so heartbreaking yet terrifying to watch, and his performance is just great and haunting, and I think this is his best performance yet as the Kingpin. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And someone who completes this trifecta of this season has definitely, hands down, got to be the actor who plays Bullseye. I am blanking on his name. I think it's William or something like that. But this guy, he needs more roles in acting in general, because I just thought his performance as Bullseye was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he just carries this tension anytime that he's on screen, that you don't know if he's going to snap at any moment, and everything he does just feels off kilter. And there's just this one moment at the beginning of the episode where he just fixes the frame of a painting, of a picture, and that simple act just carries just so much of his mentality inside of it, and it's so disturbing. And his performance is just so menacing in this sad way, because you want him to be a better person, because you see that desire within his character to be a better person, because all he's looking for is purpose. But yet the way he tries to go about finding it and the way he tries to cling on to it is so unhealthy and so unbalanced. It's such a great character performance by this actor, and Bullseye is just, he was one of my favorite characters this entire season. And he just, man, the scenes that he is in, and especially in those action sequences and those big, deep emotional sequences towards the end, he just steals the show at times. And you're just like, oh my gosh, this guy is so good. He is so good, and he sells that performance. And I think one surprise actor who completely blew me away with all this stuff was the actor who played as Rahul Nadeem. I believe his first name is Rahul, the character of the show. But man, his performance was really great, and a really, really thankless job. Where you got to play the straight man, to the forward FBI agent, tempted by this life of being able to get what you want through Wilson Fisk and yada yada yada. No real spoilers there, but the way he carries that performance and his character arc and him dealing with his own hubris and his own pride and stuff like that is great. And when you get into the later episodes and you see his internal conflict with the actions that he is doing as compared to what's going on around him and the consequences, it gets to some really emotional and heartbreaking things. And then the final scenes of the season that his character has is just absolutely phenomenal, and the acting that this guy gives is great, and he sells the scenes that he's in, and he gets you so invested for someone who's just a supporting character. It's great. It's absolutely great. The performances are top notch this season, especially the actress as well who plays his sister Maggie in the show as one of the nun caretakers who brings in Matthew. Wow, she is great too, and the banter and the chemistry that she has with Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock is really great, because the way they're able to play off of each other and play off of this, the sarcasm and this, they're taking jabs at one another and taking jabs that cut deep too, but still loving each other and trying to support one another is really, really good. It's really good. Now, however, the two performances that I'm not too keen on, but they're part of the show, is Foggy and Karen. Foggy and Karen are two characters I've had qualms with over the course of these series. I think the actor who plays as Foggy as an actor has gotten a lot better, although I still feel like a lot of his dialogue and his delivery is so awkward, and I don't know why, and some of his jokes just come off so weird and so awfully timed. I don't understand it. However, as the series have moved on, and Foggy has been through different things, through Jessica Jones and yada yada yada, and Defenders, I have enjoyed his character progression as an independent character. And I also feel the same way about Karen. I think when, you move in with Foggy moving into the bigger lawyer situations, and you have Karen moving into working for the newspaper, I think as individual characters, they really shined in separate TV shows and their separate character developments away from Matt. I truly think that. I think they truly developed as better characters over the course of those series. And starting off this season, they start off really, really strong by being separate from Matthew and going on their own paths and not necessarily feeling like they have to cling to what Daredevil is and all that stuff. But as the series goes on, I am not too big of a fan of the way they take Karen. Foggy, I'm okay with, but the way they take Karen, I was just like, I don't care. And they're like, we gotta show you more of her backstory. Let's dedicate almost an entire episode to I don't care. I really don't. It's way too late for this. We're in the back half of season 3, and now you're like, well, maybe we should explore who she is. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make me like her anymore. Doesn't make me feel more sympathetic or empathetic towards her. It's just, they get into a lot with her, but I don't think all of it was good decisions. And I don't like that a lot of decisions that they do make for Karen, even though they come off as big character development moments for, pushing her and her relationships towards what is seemingly better places, I truly think that they end up taking away her independence, which makes her a better character. But that's just my 2 cents. Nevertheless, I still think going forward that all the performances were great, and I still think most of the choices were really great with the character arcs and the character development, especially with our leading actors and actresses and things of that nature. That story. Oh boy, that story is so good. I don't want to spoil it for those who haven't seen it, but that story's good. That's really all I have to say about it. It's just the escalation is phenomenal. It starts off with that slow burn a little bit that the Daredevil season 1 has, but it just kicks up like Daredevil season 2 does in the first half, around episode 4 of season 3. That's a very confusing sentence. I hope you're able to follow along because I was kind of getting lost as I said it. But the show really just hits a very strong stride and does not let go, besides a few moments towards the end, because, you're just getting that issue where it's like, it's 13 episodes, so, things are going to happen. Things are going to get dragged out. But besides that, when it gets dragged out a little bit, I think the story's phenomenal. The themes, the character arcs are absolutely fantastic. But the last thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to this show is its production. I truly think that from the choreography to the direction from all the other directors and the writing and how that complements it and the scenes that they create, this is the pinnacle of what superhero TV shows should look like. I mean, this thing was darn near like David Fincher directing, with some of the cinematography and the camera setups and the ideas and the way that they played into making sure that every action sequence was a reaction to character choices was phenomenal. There wasn't a single fight scene that felt out of place. Every single bit of action or violence felt as a display of where the character was. And it is phenomenal. And there is, of course, a hallway fight. It is an 11-minute long, one take shot, tracking all that stuff. It is incredible. It blew my mind that you could intersperse, story in the way that they did in actual scenes, like full-on scenes, and in-depth, well-choreographed, brutal action sequences into one scene. It was insane. It was absolutely insane, and I loved it. It was just, oh God, it was so good. And the way they do that throughout the series, everything is in camera. There's none of that shaky cam. There's not like 1,000 cuts going on. They let the action sit there, wide shot. You're going to see everything because we're proud of the choreography we put to the screen. And it is so good. It is insanely good. And the action sequences that involve Bullseye's character, oh man, it's so good. It's brutal. It's phenomenal. The way they choreograph it, the action sequences are intense, and the way they even do stealth is really, really good. And I think that's something that's kind of overlooked in a lot of superhero stuff. Is just you see the character, he disappears, and then oh he's got me. Cut to a Western style switch shot, whatever. But the way that they do it in this scene where you can see everything and you can see your protagonist maneuver throughout the setting and your enemies and where they're placed, you understand where everyone is placed, which adds to the tension of when characters take action. It's beautifully shot. It's beautifully choreographed, amazingly directed, well acted, well written. Man, this season was absolutely phenomenal. I loved every second of it, and I truly think that it raises the bar for superhero TV shows. There's no shallow character development here. There's real stakes that are presented, and there's real depth to the growth of these characters. It's not just like, well, you gotta learn to trust people and to be more open and, not lose faith in what you're doing. It's so much deeper than that, and the way they philosophically approach it. Nothing has to be overly sophisticated to be good, to make it a good character arc or to make it a good character development. What it comes down to is storytelling that gets to the core of your characters in a way that truly matters and affects them as fundamental beings. And the way that they approach every single scenario to make sure it complements or that it attacks those cores is great. Daredevil Season 3 is some of the best television I've seen, and I think they've done a fantastic job. Yes, there are flaws when it comes to the pacing and the writing of some of these supporting characters, but those are really my only gripes. And the pacing is only because they have to do 13 episodes, which I hate. Just cut it down to 10 and make it an even tighter story and just focus that way. Nevertheless, I'm giving Daredevil Season 3 a 10 out of 10. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. And if you haven't seen it, please check it out while you still can before Disney and Netflix start canceling everything. But with that being said, guys, what did you think of Daredevil Season 3? Let me know in the comment sections down below. And let me know what you thought of that long take. Because, oh my gosh, it is phenomenal. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I've been Daniel, and don't forget to get geeky.